wabarakatuh. So we are here to doing podcast conversation about Japanese and Indian culture. I'm Winda Dewi as host.
I'm Galuh Titian Pangestu as guest stars.
So let's go. Welcome to our podcast, World Culture, where we discuss different aspects of culture from different countries and regions. I'm Winda, and with my partner is
Galuh.
my friend who studied in Japan. Hello, Galuh.
Hello Winda, konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
It's a pleasure to speak with you and the listeners of this podcast.
In this episode, we'll be talking about Indian culture and Japanese culture, two countries that have diverse histories, tradition, and uniqueness. We will compare and contrast some of the differences and similarities between these two cultures.
Yes, I think this will be an interesting and informative topic. I myself am very interested in learning more about Indian culture as I have never visited India before.
Like me, I've never been to Japan, but I've always been amazed by Japan's rich and beautiful culture. So let's start by talking about one of the most important aspects of culture, which is religion.
Okay, Winda, as we know, India and Japan have great religious diversity. India is home to some of the world's major religions such as Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, and others. Meanwhile, Japan has both domestic religions such as Shinto and Buddhism, as well as external religions such as Christianity, Islam, and others.
Yeah, that's right, Galuh. Religion has great influence on the culture, values, and custom of the people of India and Japan. For example, in Hinduism, there are concepts of karma, reincarnation, and caste, which influence the way Indians live and think. And I as heard in Shinto, there is the concept of spirit inhabiting and the universe, which influences the way Japanese people respect and love nature.
Yes, I agree. Religion also influences the celebration and festivals held in India and Japan. For example, in India there is the festival of Diwali, which is a festival of lights that celebrates the victory of good over evil. In Japan, there is the Hanami Festival, which is a cherry blossom festival that celebrates the beauty and timelessness of nature.
Well, both festivals sound very beautiful, and it is. By the way, besides religion, there's the fun cultural aspect. I hope someday I can attend to festival, especially the Diwali festival, because I love India so much, and I also learn a lot about many things in India that are also interesting to talk about, which is food.
Oh, I love food. I think food is one of the best ways to get to know a country's culture. Indian and Japanese food are very different but also have some similarities.
That's right. Indian and Japanese food is very diverse and various depending on the region, climate, and history. Indian food is famous for its strong and spicy spices, for such as curry masala, and its Japanese food is famous for its freshness and simplicity, such as sushi.
Sushi?
Yeah, sashimi and ramen.
Yeah. Yes, I love Indian and Japanese food. I think they have unique and delicious flavors, but there are also some similarities between Indian and Japanese food, such as the use of rice, vegetables, and tea as staples. Also, there are some foods that are influenced by both Indian and Japanese culture, such as katsu curry, which is a Japanese dish made of fried meat with Indian curry sauce.
Wow, that sounds really good. I have to try it sometime. Okay, now that we're talking about religion and food, let's move on to another important aspect of culture, which is clothing.
Interesting. Clothing is one way to express a country's identity and culture. Indian and Japanese clothes have different characteristics and beauty.
That's right. Indian and Japanese clothing is very colorful and patterned. The most famous Indian garment is the sari.
Wow,
Yes,
sari.
which is a long piece of cloth wrapped around the body and combined with a blouse and shawl. The most famous Japanese garment is the kimono,
Yeah, kimono.
which is a long dress made of silk fabric and tied with a white belt called an obi.
Yes, I admire Indian and Japanese clothing. I think they have great elegance.
Yeah.
However, there are also some differences between Indian and Japanese clothing, such as the way it is worn, its meaning, and variation. For example, a sari can be worn in different ways depending on the regions and occasion. Kimonos have symbolic meanings depending on the color, pattern, and type. Also, there are some garments influenced by Indian and Japanese culture, such as the cheongsam, which is a traditional Chinese garment inspired by kimono.
Wow, that's very interesting. I hope one day I can try wearing a sari and kimono. We are almost out of time, so let's end our podcast by talking about one more aspect of culture, which is art.
Okay, art is one way to express the creativity and beauty of a country. Indian and Japanese art have different styles and techniques.
You are absolutely right, Galuh. I agree. Indian and Japanese art is very diverse and evolved depending on the era, influences, and purpose. Indian art is famous for its fine arts, such as painting, sculpture, and architecture, which feature religious, mythological, and historical themes. Japanese art is famous for martial arts such as karate, judo, and aikido, which feature philosophy, discipline, and balance.
Yes, I admire Indian and Japanese art. I think they have deep and meaningful values and message. But there are also some similarities between Indian and Japanese art, such as the use of symbols, colors, and shape, which show expression and emotion. Also, there are some arts that are influenced by both Indian and Japanese cultures, such as manga, which are Japanese comics inspired by Indian fine arts.
Wow, that's so awesome. I hope to read that manga sometimes. Well, there you have it, our podcast about Indian culture and Japanese culture. We hope you enjoy and learn a lot from this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Goodbye.